This is recorded. And for anyone that comes up to you and asks, is it recorded? Say yes, reach out to Carla. Carla will probably, you're going to put it on our, where do we put it?
It'll be sent to Amin and he'll put it on our private channel.
Yeah, okay. On our YouTube channel.
I believe that's where he puts them. Yeah, so I'll send it to him once we get the recording, once it's done.
We're scheduled to start at 11 and go till 1. I typically experience that we get to about 12:30 and we've probably exhausted all questions and thoughts going on. With 3 minds on the panel, I suspect we'll go a little longer. As we go through the questions and talking, if you have a thought in your mind or a question that you would like to get out, use the chat group, put it in there, and somewhere towards around 12:30, we'll start opening up to questions, and feel free to ask your question directly, or I can ask it for you. Sometimes the panelists are looking at the chats themselves and go ahead and answer it as we go through, so that's fine also. Other than that, it's a short webinar, so there's no scheduled break. If you need to get up and use the bathroom, get up, go grab a coffee, do whatever, water, anything, just go ahead. By all means, go do so. The only thing we ask is that you keep yourselves muted. As you know, background noise can be a bit disruptive, so you don't really want lawnmowers or garage trucks going by. But with that said, here we are. Welcome to our webinar series, KW Elite's webinar series, created by Ron, Carla, and myself, and powered by you, our agents, and filled with incredible content. They're gaining popularity as we move on. Which no doubt is because you guys have so much interesting things to say. This one is all about the business of real estate, and we're going to talk about how these 3 gentlemen and their teammates generate leads, how they came to be a team for starters, how they generate leads, how they approach marketing, and just sort of the dynamics of how they operate together. I'll let them introduce themselves, tell them a little bit about who they are, their length in the business, and the kind of business they do, residential, commercial, 4 deals a year, 40 deals a year, that sort of thing. So we'll start with you, Colin.
Colin Thornton here, Keller Williams Elite Realty. Been licensed for the last 11 years, but the corny answer is I've been in real estate my whole life. My dad's been doing it for, I think, 46 years now. And my aunt was a realtor. My uncle was a realtor. My 2 cousins are realtors right now. They're separate from us, but it's my dad and I who sort of work together right now. And we're kind of in a transition period right now. We've been kind of separate agents for quite a while, but we're looking to expand and kind of take some time back for ourselves. But I'd say on average, we're in the kind of maybe 60 deals a year, 50 to 60 deals a year combined between the 2 of us. But that's us.
That's fantastic. Sonny, how about yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Sonny. I've been in the business for about, say, 6 years now. I didn't choose real estate. It happened to just happen. That's a story for another time. Those that know me know because of circumstances, I came into real estate. I was a teacher before, and I started my team last year. I got 2 agents, a full-time admin, and a full-time media admin as well. Yeah, we'll get into more details as we go.
I don't know many agents that would say, I just fell into real estate. That course, first and foremost, is the largest barrier out there for anything to fall into. So congratulations to you on that.
I can tell you this, I actually got my license. Like, I've been doing real estate full-time for 6 years now. I actually got my license when I was 18. I was going to UBC. One of my uncles said, just do the license. He's like, you're at UBC, just do it. In my first year at UBC, I ended up doing the course and everything, I think 2.5 months during a summer break. I did maybe a deal here and there just to pay off tuition. And then for 5 years, I didn't touch real estate, but I kept on paying my fees.
Okay.
And then again, circumstances change. I still had my license, which I've been paying for 5 years. And I made the transition straight into real estate 6 years ago.
Wow, okay. And you don't just do real estate. There's also a family business in your portfolio as well, too.
I have a restaurant, Colin on the Pizza. Bring quite a bit of the food down here. I don't do anything with the business. Even though I say I'm the owner, my mom and my aunt run the restaurant. It's a vegetarian Indian restaurant, about like 10 minutes away from Surrey office.
Yeah, and you have some of the best hamburgers I've ever eaten in my life.
Veggie burgers, yes.
Yeah, it fooled me on the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks. John, let's go to you.
Okay, so I've been in the business for about 4.5 years, and Forrest has been in. He started kind of part time, and he went to full time, I think, around 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, I guess for me the weird thing was that when I got licensed, I'd only been in the country for 3 years, so it was kind of a little difficult to get going the first few months. But then we were individual agents for a little bit. We met at the previous Remax office we were at. Then we teamed up. I would say 2018 is the year we really kind of got together and formed a team.
So what's this mastermind about?
Oh, hello.
Keep going.
Okay.
Yes, someone was talking without being
Someone's
muted.
finding
Yeah,
the
you're good.
mute. Yeah. Yeah, and we've been a team now for about 3.5 years. And so production-wise, this year is obviously exceptional, I think, for everyone. But you know, we were running around the kind of 40 to 50 deals a year up until this year, but now we've done pretty well. We've done 39 already, so this year will be a big year for sure.
So
And now we have Kylie as well. So there's 3 of us now.
3 licensed agents. How many admin?
0. This is a problem.
You juggle admin between yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, we get through it right now, but it's something we are going to address, and it's one of the things on the horizon we need to address, and we're very aware of it. But right now, we're just kind of muscling through.
You know, that's interesting. So you're at that 39 deals for the year, but hovering 30, 40 deals in the years prior.
Years prior was actually 45 for both years. Yeah,
45 for both years.
Yeah.
Okay. And handling the paperwork on your own. Colin, I believe you are in the hunt for an admin. Is that correct?
Correct. I definitely am.
And you're doing about how many deals right now?
Combined, we're at about 50 average. You know, sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 40, but you know, around that 50 is probably our average annually.
And there's a threshold at which you do these deals. It's somewhere 30, 40, 50, where you go, screw it. I'm not doing this by myself. Like I don't want to fill out another RDIF. I don't want to fill out the documents. It's painful, but here's the challenge. So Sonny, you might be able to answer this one, but the challenge is you're busy. You're very busy right now. You're not just busy selling real estate, but you're handling the administration. And now you've got to press pause, go find yourself an assistant or go find someone to come work with you and handle all of that. So how on earth do you pull that one off? And let alone find just anyone, but find someone good that can do the job, then go and train them. So Sonny, how did that work for you? And what was your number? Where was your threshold where you're like, the pain's too much?
The pain's always been too much, but we keep on doing it.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem is having an assistant. It's a salary you gotta pay. And sometimes for a lot of agents, it's like, you know what, rather than paying 40, 50, 60,000 to someone else, I'll just take that time to do the paperwork. What we don't understand is we make the money when we close the deals, but not doing the paperwork. Paperwork takes a long time. I've been averaging around 45 deals a year. This year, by the end of this month, we'll be close to 50 already. So it's gonna be a really good year for us, working hard. Last year, what I did was when COVID hit, I said, you know, this is a perfect time to bring on an assistant because it's slow. When people were decreasing their expenses, I upped my expenses just because I know I'm very meticulous with my paperwork. My paperwork has to be perfect. I don't want the office calling me and telling me, you know, this is missing, that's missing. So I want to hire someone that can do that. And I had no idea how to hire someone. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna bring someone on and just train them. I brought someone on for 6 months last year and it did not work at all.
How so? What do you mean it didn't work?
I was too nice.
Okay. And
Nice.
in terms of what though? Like you had standards, and if they didn't meet your standards, you wouldn't say anything.
I wouldn't say anything. Even though I had the feeling this person didn't really have the desire to be in real estate, they were just looking for a job. The way I took it was, it's my first assistant. I know this person wasn't going to be my assistant forever. At least I could start the systems. So when I bring someone, I know exactly what I'm looking for. So yes, it didn't work out the best, but it taught me a lot about what type of person I want. I ended up hiring someone. So that person I had from April till October. And ever since then, I've been trying to find the right person. And then last month, I did hire someone. It's my wife. She's my full-time assistant. She's got a background of working for lawyers. She was a legal assistant there. But working at home, I saw what she was doing. She's got 5 lawyers she's working for. She's very good with paperwork. She's very good with follow-up. She's very good with emails. And I was like, I can't find someone better than that, and you want to just keep it in-house. I talked to a few people. I talked to Renee Sandhu, whose wife is his assistant as well. It's a bit tricky to balance, and we're still learning. But I've already noticed a difference in the month and a half she's been working with us. I'm being able to focus more on my clients rather than just paperwork.
Yeah, yeah. And when you say you're going to be home at 7 o'clock, she knows that might mean a lot later than that too. So there's a bit of a buy there.
That's
Yeah.
the best thing. Now I don't like talking about work at home. So she never really knew who I was dealing with or what I was dealing with. And within this month, she
Hang on. Those of you that haven't muted, please do so. I don't have the ability to mute. Sorry about that, Sonny.
no, it's all good.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. Like now she knows why I'm coming home late. Even if I run an hour, 2 hours late, she knows exactly. Or if I'm stressed. Even when I was stressed at home before, she did not know, and I didn't want to really tell her. It's confidentiality with clients as well. I take that very seriously. So if I'm dealing with something, I keep it to myself. But now she'll know which client we're dealing with, and she'll know what's going on.
Yeah. I get, yeah, that's certainly a benefit for sure. John, Colin, when you guys are in this process now, you've brought on a new team member and you're looking for an assistant, presumably you'll be looking for admin. One thing's for certain, we can say without a doubt, with the transaction level you're at right now, you've hit mastery. You're no longer wondering how to lead gen. You're lead genning. The proof is in the numbers right there and then. You become really good at that. You know exactly what to say at a listing appointment, how to handle objections, you know how to handle any kind of adversity that comes up in a transaction. Do you feel that that skill translates into the skill set of hiring, identifying talent, training talent, having them in your life, delegating your job over to them? Do you feel that that's a transferable skill, or do you feel like you might be just starting back at kindergarten again on that area? Go ahead, Colin.
Well, for myself, personally, I feel like I'm back in kindergarten again. It's just a whole new learning curve, trying to focus on the business and as well, taking some extra time to kind of get my act together and figure out, okay, step one, I got to kind of really now create a vision for ourselves because I want to lay out the vision for whoever we're hiring and show them that there's room for growth within our organization. And it's not just a paper pusher. I don't want a paper pusher. We need somebody who's going to grow with us and actually hopefully lead myself and get my butt in gear when I don't want to do stuff. But yeah, totally. It's just a whole new learning curve. But as far as the people go, I think I should be able to, maybe weed out some people just from the experience of that's what we do. We work with people. We know they're kind of, I don't know how to put it, but you get gut feelings with people for sure. And then, I don't know, I've got a few investment properties and I've always been managing myself and getting new tenants. And I go with the same thing there, gut feeling for the most part. And I've done pretty well. So hopefully I do well with this too, but I know there's a process and I want to follow the process.
Agreed. How about you, Dan? Yeah. John.
Yeah, I think Colin just hit the nail on the head, to be honest. Like, I think if you're in any sales field, real estate, whatever, it's like it's human psychology, right? And I think, when it comes to working with clients, like we always find that it's like, we tend to work with the same kind of clients. The clients have they're not always the same personality as us because we have different personalities anyway, but it's like we vibe with certain people. And it's the same thing when it comes to hiring. And I think, if you go at it from a purely logical standpoint, like for example, someone's done the real estate assistant gig for 2 years for someone else, you're like, that's the perfect person. But, that team could have been a very different team. They could be very, they could be the wrong person for your particular team. So I think it's a vibe thing, right? It's all human interaction. And I think, yeah, Colin's 100% right when he said it's more of a gut feeling than anything else, right? So,
You know, also, John, if I can add to that, you can have the right person at the wrong time.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you could have talent beyond measure, and yet it won't elevate your game to the next level. So there is a degree of, I call it business maturity. You have to have that. To use a poor analogy, hiring your first assistant for the most part is like being back as a teenager and dating for the first time. You think that that partner is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Until they're not. And then that can happen as well with the first assistant, because you're going to go through a process of defining what matters to you, defining the role itself and what the standard for the role is, and determining whether or not you actually hit the mark. Yeah, I think hiring a great assistant or a talented assistant is much like buying a lottery ticket, and you can increase your odds by learning the skill for sure.
I would like to add, I'll add on top of that. You have to go with the gut feeling. Like my first assistant, my gut feeling was do not hire her. But my whole thinking was I just need to get someone so I can start this process. I know this person's not gonna last. At least I know what I'm looking for. Because until you hire that first person, you don't know exactly what you want. You'll read about stuff, you'll watch videos, but until you have someone in your office with you, working with you, you're not gonna know. And so get that first person. And like Josh said, like I've talked to Josh about this multiple times. That first assistant, we're looking for that perfect person. We're not gonna find them right away. You're gonna have to wait. And when you start looking for your second after the first one, you'll know exactly what you're looking for. But the biggest thing is the team culture has to make sense. Like John said, it has to vibe. They have to have a passion to grow.
Yeah, they have to handle your humor or lack of. They have to handle your rough language or clean language. They really have to fit, because it in all senses of the actual word, it's a relationship. You're getting into another relationship, and you're going to be with them probably more time in the day than potentially your spouse. Colin, you said it perfectly. When Terry was my assistant, man, that there were times when the business would knock me down and I'd come back deflated. I would be bruised and hurt, and Terry would recognize it real quick, and she could just basically take care of that in the moment and lift me right back up again, and off I go out to do more battle. It makes a difference.
Hey Josh, just interrupt. I have the best first hire ever. Hope she's watching.
She's watching. She's not in. Yeah, she's here. She's right beside you. Well, that's awesome. I'll share a story if I can on my first hire, Andy. Like I had studied the process of hiring an assistant. It's called career visioning. Back in the day, it changed to recruit, select, and now we're back to career visioning. But it's a very comprehensive course, 3 parts to how to hire, essentially, train in the whole 9 yards. Well, when you follow it to the letter, you're going to be interviewing a number of candidates, and at the end of it, you could be into a candidate, over several weeks, even a couple of months, with, in the multitudes of 10 to 15 to 20 hours of interview time. So it's very time consuming. And in my very first hire, Sonny, I just needed to hire. I just said, screw it. You know what, you'll do. Because I had narrowed 17 down to 2. None of them were in my mind screaming at me like talented. I just didn't want to go through it again. So I said, of the 2, I'm going with you. And
that one.
And it was a mistake. It was, to say the least. I'll just say,
bring the old one here.
Eileen, would you be able to mute yourself for us, please?
Oh, absolutely. I thought you wanted me. Okay, we go.
I don't think that was Eileen saying, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Carla, are you still in here? You're the only one that actually has the power to mute.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Perfect. Thanks. So I found out very quickly, this will happen again, I'm sure. I found out very quickly, I made a mistake. I did not hire the right person. And now I was tasked, and I like people. I like to be liked. I like people. I was very nice. In this case, I didn't uphold my own standards, so I just let things go. And then they would build up, and I'd have resentments, and I'd blow up, and I was just a monster as a leader, which was confusing because I was a great realtor there at the time. And it was a great learning experience. I did not fire this person. So the only thing that I could think to do is to go on a vacation for a really long period of time with no thought of when I was coming back. It was total chicken shit. Like I just didn't know what to do. And so I did that. I went away for 3 months. And of course, I came back and it was in that moment that lightning struck and Terry hired herself onto my team and the rest was history. So
I'm in the unlucky position that mine cannot be fired.
Ever, Andy, ever.
Ever.
You and Sonny are, you're locked in, man,
Yeah.
which is great.
We might have some problems now.
What are some things, Sonny, for you that have changed? I mean, she's a month and a half, but you do have a marketing assistant and you have another office where they sit. What has changed for you fundamentally that you've noticed? Oh man, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore since hiring.
I'm closing more deals. I'm able to meet more clients. That's what it is, right? You're able to show more properties. You're able to reach out to more clients that are like 60 to 90 days away. Because like everyone knows, when we start doing it's not a lot of paperwork, but it's just following up with everything. If you have 3, 4, 5, 6 deals happening in a month, your hours just put aside just following up with that. On top of that, completions coming up. You got to follow up with the lawyer. You have to follow up with their office. You got to follow up with your client. Your assistant does all that for you. And you take all that time and you focus it on the clients that are looking right now and your listings.
Yeah. For anybody that's listening and wondering, well, jeepers, that's taking away from my level of service to the client. That's a detraction. Would you say that that's the case, Sonny, or no?
100%.
Yeah. You're if anything, it's a value add there. You're getting things done in a timely manner and not having to wait for you to come out of an appointment to go and check out on some MLS number that a buyer wants to know about. Yeah. It's a game changer. I mean, there's no question when Colin, when you and John, when you make that hire for an assistant to take care of the paperwork, it elevates the game. You'll be going to the 90 deal mark. And it's not like you just do 5 more deals, I think is a fair comment. When you bring on someone that's talented, it's quite a leap. It's certainly more than enough to pay the wage for sure. Which brings me to my next question. When hiring somebody, was wage ever a thought in your mind? Like I want to get the best I can for the least amount, or how did you approach? Sonny, you're in a unique position because all of your money goes to your spouse, and Andy, I believe the same thing is applicable to you.
Well, my first one, I asked around what's the going rate. I asked you, and you can't give someone minimum wage and expect them to give a higher level of service. So you have to give them a competitive wage so you could attract good hires. With my wife, I had to match what she was making at her office before, or she wouldn't be happy. So, but it stays in house, so we're fine.
Yeah. So technically, she's the boss when you're at work, then I guess.
Yes.
And Andy, I don't think Teresa's ever given up the boss title. Period. No matter where you are. The one.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. The one, and that was, I mean, that is definitely a mistake I made. I went looking initially to get what I felt was the best of the talent pool of candidates I had for what I thought was, just above minimum wage. Like I played the wrong game right out of the gate. My biggest mistake there was going down that road. And then when Terry came along, I had come up with a very elaborate bonus structure system and tried to keep the base level low, and she blew that right out of the water. And I remember distinctly having this feeling of like, I am out of my comfort zone, slightly freaking out about how am I ever going to make the monthly payment of, I think it was $5,000 a month or something back then, which was a lot of money. It was for the most part unheard of. And I remember thinking, I don't even know. You know what? I just need to get past the next month. And I knew I had enough closings to cover the next month. And I felt like if this person were talented enough, they'd show up and things would change. And I think that the real estate gods were smiling because they certainly allowed for that to take place, and it changed everything. And we never looked back again. The thought of how do I make your wage payment? How do I pay your check in a month? Never, ever crossed my mind after that. So that's the difference. I'm trying to stress how important it is to really hire the best talent you can identify, is really what I'm saying. So let's just talk a little bit, switch gears a little bit. We can come back to assistants later on, but yeah.
Question. It's a really good question by Manveer in the chat.
Oh yeah, sure. What do we have in there? If you could go back, at what point would you have hired your, good question. So Manveer wants to know, when would you have hired your admin? Do you think you should have hired earlier than you did?
For me anyways, you know, I haven't hired the admin yet, but yeah, I wish we did it 3-4 years ago for sure. I think, you know, to be perfectly honest, one of the reasons for coming over to Keller Williams Elite was I was burnt out. I think I met with Matt Bastian one day and kind of was asking him for help, like, damn man, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just too busy and I can't keep up anymore. And he just kind of told me about the different programs offered at Keller Williams, the career visioning, which has just been awesome. And then from there, you know, got over here, but then there's always been some reason why I haven't hired. It's been, oh, we don't have office space yet, because I've always worked from my home office. And then we got an office space, and then COVID hit. So then it's like, oh yeah, you know, there's COVID. So there's always something. And now it's just like, I'm back to, you know, it sounds brutal, but you know, hating life again. You know, it's no fun anymore. Come home upset and pissed off from everything and never have time to myself. So it's like, yeah, I wish I could have avoided all this and started hiring a lot earlier. Maybe kind of, you know, I don't know, we've been doing quite a bit of volume for forever since I can remember, but yeah, I definitely wish I hired a lot earlier. But I think for us, we didn't have the support or the know-how in our old office or brokerage to ever hire. We didn't know who to talk to. We didn't have anyone kind of even saying, hey, maybe you should get an assistant or this or that. It's just kind of pat you on the bum, you go, we're paying our fees, they're happy, they don't really give a crap about us. But you know, over here it's just been, you know, hand holding more so, and kind of encouragement to get things done and going. And yeah, wish we did it sooner for sure.
And I'd like to add on to that too. So while you come from real estate pedigree, you've got family all around you in the industry. They're coming from a generation where, you know, the model was, yeah, sales. Here's the phone book, go make calls and you'll get listings. And other than that, training really didn't exist, let alone assistance. That wasn't even a common thing for, I know for sure for your dad, that wasn't common back when I joined in Remax Sabre back in the day. Yeah. How about you, John? Have you enforced, said, hey, I wish we had hired blank ago, a month ago, a year ago?
Yeah, I think the difficult thing is that we're at points where it's like, you know, pretty much like the spring, we were doing like 10 to 12 deals a month, right? And then now, like, we're dead. Like, we've got like 3 clients on the go. So it's like right now we're like, oh, thank God we don't have an assistant. But then 3 months ago, I was tearing my hair out going, why didn't we hire someone at the end of last year? So it's like, you're always going to have peaks and valleys, and that's annoying. But I think with the assistant thing, I think if you find, it's all about people. If you find the right person, even if you think it's a bit of a stretch and they might be twiddling their thumbs for 30, 40, 50% of the time, I think to bite the bullet and get them in and get them trained and get them accustomed to things, even if it's going to be 6 months of why are we paying this person? I think it's okay, because then the foundation is there to grow. But once, like you said, like once you're growing and you're hitting that point where you really don't have a spare 5 hours a week to train or whatever, it's going to be a lot harder, and they're probably not going to want to stay because you're going to give a shitty first foundation to them joining the team. So I think it's a case of find the right person, bite the bullet, and do it as soon as possible, really. And I'm not a good example of that because we haven't done it. But
right.
That's it.
Yeah, you're in that process though, and your path to the assistant is typical to mine and probably every other agent. And ironically, it always seems to hit you at the moment when you have the least amount of time, when the market is on fire and you really just don't have that time to sit down and think about your step by step. How do I do my listing process, my buyer, all of it? And so you write that down and give it to them. You don't have that time. So it's a funny one. And the trap that I made, John, and I heard it there with you, with what you just said, is you do this X amount of deals, a couple months in a row, and then it slows down. You go, whew, dodged a bullet. Glad I didn't hire an assistant. When in fact that, my experience after I had made some talented hires is that those highs and lows tend to level themselves right out. They
Yeah.
literally, they still exist for sure. We're not impervious to it. They just aren't nearly as bad. And there's always something that I'm grateful, even in slow times, that Gina does that I don't, which is pretty much all of it. So let's go backwards then. So Sonny, did you, and Colin, now that you're at that stage, have you actually taken the time, or have you thought about taking the time and looking at, I'm bringing someone on, this is what I'm going to want them to do, and this is how I want it done. And the how I want it done is a representation of you, John, and a representation of you, Colin, and it's your standard, so that in the absence of you in front of your client, the client doesn't feel like it was a pass down or you got someone less than. Have you given that kind of thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just had a meeting with Greg the other day for the first time, thank God, and kind of getting our ducks in a row there and really kind of laid out what we want done, their duties, responsibilities, but as well really came to the conclusion, the first month or so is really going to be shadowing myself so that they know how I talk to clients, how I want things done, and just to make sure everything is up to our standards. Because that's the thing. I don't want anyone to ever say, oh, I noticed on my new listing that came up, the data input's incorrect, or this is wrong, or that is wrong, because that's one thing that's always been hit on the head for me is, accuracy, complete paperwork, just professionalism throughout the process. And I want to make sure whoever comes on board is the same, because hopefully they'll be growing with us and taking on bigger responsibility later on.
Yeah, for sure. John.
Yeah, so this is actually something that we've really kind of focused on the last year. So like, we're pretty erratic people with everything, schedules and whatever. So before we thought about hiring, we actually basically adopted this, it's kind of like a project management system called Trello. I don't know if any of you guys have used it. It's a bit like, I think Planoly might be the same kind of thing, but these online free project management systems, and you can have like flows and stages and all that kind of thing. So we have a Trello system for buyers and sellers, right? And then when a new client comes on, there's a series of email templates that go out to them that are linked to that Trello, and it's like everything is there. So for example, if you sign a listing up, there's a step-by-step of everything that needs to be done. So the nice thing about it is we follow it to keep us in check so we don't forget things. But then if we ever brought someone on, we would simply say, hey, here's how everything works. And it's all laid out and there's check boxes. So like everyone has a login, right? So it's like me, Forrest and Kylie are all in tune with each other's deals at any time. So I think that's probably the reason why we haven't properly hired someone up until now, because we've been very organized with that for disorganized people.
Right. So it provides you with a level of efficiency, a template, and a foolproof method to follow your systems and get it done so that you can probably still go run a marathon once a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. But it does allow you to do that. And that is, again, it's an interesting point, because when you're a high producer, as your thermometer goes up throughout your years, your first year, second, fourth, fifth year, you're doing, from 5 deals up to 30, 40 deals. All of a sudden it doesn't feel so bad because you got so efficient on the paperwork that you're just getting it done. But then there reaches that point when you realize you're not present anymore in the moment. You're not able to have a dinner with someone and not be tied to the phone, which is a challenge. But yeah, this is the, Colin, I think you might have seen this thing that I had written when I was bringing Aaron on to the team. I took it upon myself to be the one that would be training him for the most part. And I didn't have what you used, the Trello, the flow chart, which would probably been a lot nicer for me. I just grabbed a piece of paper and I taped it on my wall. And it was a process because that paper got crumpled up many times until I got it to where I wanted it to be. But it was my flow chart written out on this paper of the jobs that I could identify, the top jobs, dropping down to all the tasks inside the job and how I do them so that my standards were delivered. And I shared that with Aaron. I didn't realize Aaron kept it. And Colin, I think he shared it with you.
Yeah, it was great. I've got a PDF file of it now too. And I've been, working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, suffice it to say that an assistant is truly a game changer. And when you get there, it will, yeah, Ron's just saying, just make sure you follow the MRE model 30, 30, 40, so you're protecting your profits. He's speaking to how you split your incomes, but you're right. You know, and essentially, if you're at that 30 to 50 deal, you're fine. This is when you need an assistant in the lower mainland. The price points of the homes you're selling are going to support that income. So you're not looking at hiring an assistant when you're just doing 10 deals a year. That's not the place to be looking. It's probably the place to start thinking about it though. And it's definitely the place to start identifying how you do what you do for the most part.
Like adding on just to Manvir's question, I know I hired my first assistant 2 years too late. I could have done it earlier. And it's a limiting mindset. Even for like Colin, John, I know there's a couple other people in this chat right now. We're hesitant to make that hire. What can happen? And I think Josh, you'll agree, like just get that first hire, right? And the way we're worried that we might not have the money or the deals coming, the world works in a way when you're working hard, and I say to all the guys, all the girls, like everyone at our office, the deals come. When you're working and you're putting positive energy out there, the deals will come. When you start training your assistant, for myself at least, talking about the systems, I had no systems in place. I did not even have a CRM, okay, for the first 4 years. Okay, everything was everywhere. So the first thing I got my assistant to do was take all my clients from everywhere and put them into Excel, right? That's the first job I gave to her. It took her 3 weeks, but we got like 500-600 people into Excel, and I created my CRM. There's a lot of things with an assistant you can start doing that you don't have time for. One thing is like, I think Josh, you're gonna talk about lead gen and everything afterwards. Um, I don't door knock. I don't cold call. My business is all referrals. And with an assistant, she had free time. So I was like, let's try some new things. So I tried expired listings. I've been planning on doing this for like 3 years. Just don't got the time to do anything. I said, yeah, here, I taught her on Paragon how to find expired listings. I'm like, target 100 houses and let's send out a mail out. Okay. She sent it out. I got one phone call. That one phone call was for the nicest lady I've met in White Rock. Okay. I went to it. I set the meeting. I sat down with her. I sat down with her like 3 hours, but out of that meeting, I got a $2 million listing. My assistant did that. And that's the first thing she did, right? That itself paid for her salary for that year. But it's like something I would have never done. I still haven't done it since. But it was just that expired listing. She sent it out. I got her to draft a letter, and it was just a simple letter. Sent it. Lady called, and we sat down, and she had the worst experience with realtors. That's a funny story in itself because she's like, I was just waiting for something. She said to me, I was waiting for a mail to come through my mail slot. She's 80 years old. That God is gonna send me a realtor. And she's like, I saw your face. I'm like, she's like, Sonny, you're the one. I'm like, okay.
God sent you, Sonny. God sent you.
Somehow, yeah.
You can read all the books you want on how to swim, but until you jump in the water and feel the wet, you have no idea what it's all about. And the same thing applies to hiring an assistant. Taking the courses and understanding the process is helpful, but it certainly isn't going to prepare you for who you show up or how you show up once they're there sitting there. And so it's an important process. It's definitely the evolution of a good realtor as you move through your career. Mike said something that's very true. 100%. You create your path, put it out there, and it can happen. Not can, but will. He's right. I mean, that resonates. No question. We're in the industry that's perfect for this. We're believers anyways. Stuff just tends to fall on us in moments when you need it most. I remember needing gas for my car or needing money to make a car payment, and out of nowhere comes a buyer, and I'm in a transaction. All of a sudden now I can put gas in my vehicle. So we're in a good business. Now I was thinking small. The bigger you think, the more true this statement is.
But that being
And
said, you should consistently be closing 30 deals before you think about hiring an admin. Can't be like, I'm doing 15 deals and I'm just gonna put it out there, it's gonna come back to you. Like, it has to be consistency. You gotta be doing it. And then once you've done 30 deals, say a year or 2 years in a row, you know you could consistently have that. You have those many clients in the pipeline, and bringing someone on is the right decision.
You bet. So everybody's pain threshold around the number of deals they can handle is going to be different. And of course, depending on your financial background, you might have the ability to bring someone on sooner, knowing full well you're committed to the profession and your intention is to fully grow. And you know you want that assistance to do the things you don't want to do, like the lead gen for expireds. But if you started off like me or most agents, where I didn't have a lot of backing financially. I really needed to have the security of knowing I was going to do a certain number of deals consistently before I felt comfortable committing and putting someone else's life in my hands with a wage. So good point. Lucky says, it took me a long time to decide, but once you are committed to doing this full time, an assistant is a game changer. She lucked out to get Eileen, the first one and best one. So yeah, you did. Yeah. Yes. And I've met Eileen. She's fantastic. It's not always like that. It can be a process of elimination, and be prepared for that as well too. That's all part of the process. It's all good.
I'm confident that I'll be like Lucky, one and done.
One and done. Yes, good.
Lucky was very lucky. She's always lucky. My first hire was very funny though. I actually never put an ad out. Someone called the front desk, and Jeanette didn't know who she was calling for. So someone else in our office had put out an ad. And Jeanette's like, Sonny, I know you've been saying you want to get an admin, you want to just interview her. I'm like, sure, let's interview. That's how I interviewed her. And I'm like, yo, I got an empty office space, and I'm just gonna hire you. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. John, so this new person you've hired to the team, what is this person's role?
Kylie, she's an agent, right? Like she's working our leads. We have like a lead gen system, right? So I've always had this thing about like wanting to have someone to like train up and nurture and everything. I love the idea of it. And then, I mean, she's working with a lot of buyers, right? I guess when you're doing a production level that's pretty decent, you get to the point where, you get these leads coming in and like first time home buyers that want to buy like, condos and that kind of thing. And if you're really swamped, oftentimes we're guilty, I think, of either bringing them on and then they're kind of thrown into the mix, but maybe not given the full service that they deserve because you're busy. And there's some leads where you're just like, you know what, like I haven't got the time, whatever, you throw them out. But it's like she's basically working in the overflow of leads that we have and we don't want to work with.
That's a good point.
But she's an agent and she's done really well. Like she's been licensed for about a year, I think. Well, she's with KW Elite anyway. Mm-hmm. And then she did a couple of deals. I think one was one she hustled for, one was just like a family friend. And that was in 1 year. And then she joined us. And then in 6 weeks, she did 3 deals. And it's awesome, right? And it's great to see that progression. And she's a great fit for the team. Like absolutely perfect.
Awesome. You just jogged something for me that was true for me, and it sounds like it may be true for you. You know you're ready to bring someone on when you really don't want to follow up on that lead anymore. But when you're brand new, there's no lead you're not taking. You take everyone.
That's the thing, because like when I was new, I worked internet leads, and I remember getting like these Boomtown or Sync leads, and you're just like, oh my god! And it's so much nurture, it's so much handholding, and then like I said, like when you come out of the spring we just had, when you're cranking out like 3 deals a week, you're like, well, why? I'm not gonna like I can't, right? I haven't got the headspace, right? So she's just young and hungry and wants to do that, and she's really great at working with those type of buyers, like first timers that need a lot of hand holding, right? So it's
perfect. Great. Yeah, all new agents typically are.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Judy offers up something really cool too, and she said she contracted another realtor's assistant to train hers 5 years ago. Judy, is that assistant still with you?
Yes, she is. Of course, I had to add different things and change things around, but it was a really good first initial step because at that time I was busy and I didn't want to teach someone how to do web forms or dot loop or anything like that. So it was worth money well spent. I think it was around $2,000 for the month or so, something like that, but it was just what I needed then.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. Manveer, your question is perfect segue into the next topic, which is going to be around leads and lead generation. So Manveer's just saying, when you say you have a lead gen system, what exactly does that mean? We'll start with you, John. What does a lead gen system look like for you, team? Where does your leads come from? Let's cover it.
Okay, so basically, I actually ran the numbers just before this, just so I was cleared up for you guys. But so 70% of our deals come to us organically. They come to us. So these are past clients, referrals, and people we know, right? So we're not hustling for this. It falls on our lap, right? And then the other 30% we hustle for. So the main system we do have a Commission Zinc site, like a Sync, CINC website. So effectively, it's an online lead gen thing, just like Boomtown, just like Real Geeks, right? So people log in, they look at property, they put the details in, we hassle them, and then we bring them on as clients. And obviously, the conversion rate on that is super low. Like it's anything from kind of 1% to 5%. Like it's tiny, right? Half of them you'll never get a hold of because the information's wrong or don't pick up, whatever. 90% of them are a complete waste of time when you do get through to them anyway. So it's a lot of sorting through and a lot of, but you've got to look for the signs. And like Forrest and myself, we've always worked it. Like in some format, we've had people providing us internet leads since we were licensed from day one. So it's what we've done. And now, and a lot of people say, oh, it's kind of like low quality, it's kind of crappy, like, and everything else. It's like, well, yeah, this is only like 30% of our business, right? The 70% comes from the organic stuff. And we have lots of systems in place to nurture past clients, sphere, and referrals and all that other stuff, right? But the online lead gen system is a Commission Zinc website.
What have you been spending on a monthly basis? Is it monthly, annual, or is it per lead? How does that work?
It's monthly right now. So right now we're spending around $1,300 a month, but we're actually just about to up that next month to over $2,000 because we have Kylie now. We just need more, so it'll be around 2,000 Canadian a month, and for that we should be able to. It's different because there's different platforms to it, right? So on the low one now, we need to go to the mid tier, or the high tier. So the actual system alone before you start generating leads is like thousands. A lead, and that's the thing. It's like you might as well have tons of leads, right? If you're spending $1,000 a month for the system, and it's all done via Google AdWords, right? So people Google like Maple Ridge homes for sale or whatever, and that's how they get to the site. So it's pretty expensive stuff, right? Like, it runs into the tens of thousands a year, but at the same time, it's like, if you really work it, there's a huge ROI there. And there are teams that are getting like 20-to-1 ROI. Yeah. Like from that, right? It's pretty amazing.
Indeed. Yeah. It's a commitment for sure. It's well, like anything, but it's a commitment because sometimes the companies can supply you with so many leads that the follow-up on that is a bit overwhelming.
Huge. And that's been our problem this year, is because we've had so many referrals and everything else coming in the spring. Yeah. We literally didn't even log into it for 2 months. So we just burned through like $3,000. And these leads probably just working with other realtors now. But so that's the thing. But you have to be okay with that, right? You're not going to be able to call everyone as soon as they sign up all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Average out over the year, there's tons of return on it, I think.
Would you enforce say that is part of your business sort of diet, if you will, or lead generation diet? Or would you like to reach a point in your business where the bulk of your transactions are coming from repeat and referral?
Well, they are. So like 70% are repeat referral sphere of influence, right? So that I think the vision we have is that we would like to get to a point where obviously the referrals grow over time as more people get thrown into your sphere, right? Your I guess your people on a first name basis that would just call you, right?
Yeah. Called your advocates. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you get the advocates out, right now we have a database of almost 300 people in that, and then I guess once that gets to around 500, that will be us kind of satisfied for life. And then I think the plan would be to focus more on just working them and doing more for them, like special things for those clients, and then the lead gen on the side would be primarily for more agents. We would spend our time effectively training them to work those exclusively, and then we would focus more on our part clients. We almost have like 2 separate jobs. That's our vision and what we want to do.
you just nailed it right on the head that you could grow this into a position where you're the man, you're agents in one sense of the word,
Mhm.
and then you're managing the new, if you have a genuine love for bringing agents up and teaching them and mentoring them, bringing them onto your team, and you have a lead gen system like the one you're describing, where you can feed them these leads, help them grow their business and be part of their success. I mean, it's a great win-win. You just need a bigger space.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a little room in Andy's office, I think. I'm not sure, but
Actually, John's got the biggest office here.
okay, yeah.
I'll just knock through Cass as one.
What did Sonny? What did lead generate? So I'm guessing you're 18 years old when you get your license. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's skip the teenager years as a realtor and go to the point when you said I'm in. What did lead generation look like for you? Where were your leads coming from? And what does it look like now? What are you doing?
So when I started, when I went in full time in 2015, right off the bat, I joined a team. I did not want to put my name out there. I was doing a transition from teaching to real estate. And my daughter was born in 2014. And so I had a baby at home. I wanted to join a team where I know I would get some training, and I joined a team that was only online leads. Okay. I did that about for 2 years. Like John said, online leads are not fun. Uh, a lot of running around, no shows, working with multiple realtors, but I did that. I had to hustle for 2 years. 2 years, I did not put my name out there. I would get a couple of referrals here and there for those 2 years, but I worked those online leads. They were sending us anywhere from 100 to 200 to 300 leads a month. We had to follow up with them, sit down with them. But it was a process. I learned, did every single deal possible. I sold a mobile home as one of my first deals, all the way to $1 million was a lot in 2015, 2016. House that was $1 million. And after that, what I said to myself was, I am not going to work on online leads. I like working with people who I know, and there's a trust there. So from 2016 onwards, I focused on I got a pretty big sphere. I'm involved with a lot of different things. I play a lot of sports. I got different sports, different groups I'm involved with, different community things. And so what I said was, I'm going to try focusing on that and create a social media presence. So as of right now, 95% plus is sphere and referrals. And
That's massive. That's a huge number.
it is very lucky, blessed, very grateful that that's how our business has been. And anybody that I bring onto my team, those are the things I preach to them as well, is focus on your client. Give them the satisfaction that once you're done, they're going to send you at least 1 or 2 referrals. I'm not good at this. I do not ask for referrals. That's something I need to do. There's 2 things I got to work on, is asking for referrals and following up. My follow-up isn't that great, but almost every client of mine does follow me on Instagram. And for me, it's like a touch. They see what I'm doing and they'll reach out to me. And so yeah, 95% plus is from Sphere and referrals. Arsh, who I just brought onto the team in September, he had his license for a year, never did anything. I brought him on and I said to him, I'm not giving you anyone. I want to see you work. And he's been working. And I found he's only 23. So he's like, everyone my age is still in school. They don't got money. I'm like, that's fine. What do you love? He's like, I love the gym. I'm like, that's your sphere. Focus on the gym. So where does he get his clients from? From the gym. It's been 7 months. He's already had 4 referral deals because he's working with his clients and his clients love him. Your client's gonna love you if you provide great service to them. And I think that's the best way and the easiest way, because I know some people like cold calling or door knocking. It's still cold. They don't know you. Like John, you're saying 70% referrals. Your first time you're meeting a referral, they already know about you. So it's a good start right off the bat.
It's much easier for sure.
Way easier, way easier.
Yeah.
And then I guess you would assume too, right, that it's not a question of like, okay, what's your value proposition? Show me your listing presentation or what's your commission. It's more like, look, my buddy says you're good, so I'm going to go with that. And circling back to what you said earlier about trusting your gut when it comes to a hire, that's exactly what's happening there. Only it's happening to us. They're trusting their gut when they hire. So you just have to basically show up and be relatively knowledgeable, and they're going to hire you.
True. But that being said, every single referral I get, I know they Google me. So Google yourself, see what comes up. Have Google reviews. I know a lot of my clients, referrals will search me up before I sit down with them. They will know I taught before. They will know how many deals I'm doing. They'll go on my Instagram. They'll look at what's been happening. So they'll know a lot more than you expect them to know.
Yeah. I mean, that Google's your best online resume, period, and it handles a lot of objections. Yeah. Colin, for you coming in, I remember, if I can just share a story about your dad, one of the best bits of advice your dad ever gave me, and he was a generous man when it came to his time, sitting down and sharing very openly about what he did to get himself successful. And he was big into handwritten personal notes for flipping everything, like whether another realtor did you a solid, send him a note. Whether your client did something good or you did a deal, send a note. He was really big into what I believe now was gratefulness. He was grateful for everything, and he expressed it through notes. I adopted that, and it was wonderful for my business. What did you do for lead generation in the beginning? Where did they come from?
Well, I would say I'm just so thankful right now because, well, first off, I need to mention my dad and I are really completely separate. If he's got working with clients, I don't even see them. I don't even know which listings are his. I've had people call me and say, "Hey, Colin, I've seen your listing." And I say, "Oh, crap. I have no idea about this listing. That one's my dad's." Vice versa with mine too. And I'm really looking forward to becoming more of a team when we get an admin on and being able to work together in that respect and take some time off each other's hands. But that being said, when I first started, my dad, like you said, is into the handwritten notes. My penmanship's terrible. What else he does is he's got the phone book in front of him, and then he's got a credit card with a battery on it, and it helps him just go down the list one by one by one by one, and he cold calls every single person in the phone book. He starts at A, ends at the end of the phone book. Repeat. I don't know. I tried doing that, couldn't do that. Tried door knocking, couldn't do that. So it was brutal. I hate to say it, I'm lazy. I don't like anything. I don't have hobbies. I don't play sports. I guess I was a pretty nice guy in high school though, so that was good. So I started with my friends and their families, I suppose. But I think the real game changer for me was holding open houses. I don't like to do them now, but I held open houses for other realtors in my office and got to meet people that way. Helped. And then second, I actually built a relationship. I don't know how it even came about, but a mortgage broker at CIBC. I don't know if she was new or whatnot, but I knew I wanted a bank mortgage advisor because they can funnel me some foreclosure leads. And that's how I also got started. Was my first few listings in the business were foreclosures. So I had this relationship with the broker, foreclosures, marketed those, tried to get leads off those, calling all those internet leads that will come in from those, do open houses. Just really worked my listings hard when I could. And then from there on, I really just, I met a few other realtors who had, just kind of talking to them about what they do in their business and how they get successful. And one thing that really stood out in my mind was actually, meeting with you, Josh, and we got together and you said, build that database and make sure you nurture your database. And my dad was doing that as well, but in a different form. He does everything on note cards, and I got mine into a computer system now, Realty Juggler, cheapest one out there, $99 a year, and started working that. But it was really about the contacts, and then when you do get that first referral for someone, you send them a $25 gift card just for the meeting. And then if that meeting ends up turning into a closed sale, you send them $100 gift card. And the ball was rolling there. I started to get birth dates, wedding anniversaries, and then just keeping in touch with them through mail only. And I send them a scratch ticket every time. I think I buy probably hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of $1 scratch tickets that I send out in all my mailers. And a few of my clients said, "Oh, I picked a good realtor. My realtor sends me scratch tickets." And it's just like, so dumb, such a small thing, but people seem to like it. And I'm really just, like I said, I don't have hobbies. I don't really like to do anything sports wise or whatnot. I like to eat and drink. So I really just made my Facebook and social media about me eating and drinking, and Sunny's been completely right. I try to add my clients to social media because that's a touch point right there. Now I don't need to phone them, because that's also what my dad would always do. And he'd say, "You're never going to make it in this business by doing social media or Facebook." He's like, "No, that's insane." And we were laughing the other day because he said the same thing to me, kind of jokingly, because he knows how well I'm doing with that. But for the last 5 years, I haven't lead gen at all. I would say the only, if you count me posting my Instagram and social media posts, lead genning, I guess I am, but that's all I'm doing. And everything is just referral clients, past clients, and then every now and then people messaging me on those platforms saying, "Hey, I see you're a realtor," or "Hey, I see you've been doing really well. I have a question about this. I have a question about that." And then I think that really comes down to generosity. I always tell people, I'm always here to help, just give you all the information you need. I even tell them, "Hey, if you go with another realtor, that's cool with me, but if I can help, always ask me questions if anything seems suspicious or funny or whatnot. I'm here, and don't feel obligated to talk to me, or you can." And just being available to everybody. And then what else I used to do back in the day is, actually, I like to cook. So I'd have friends over, and I'd supply the booze and food, and just have parties with people and say, "Hey, I'm a realtor, and if you're ever thinking of this or that, let me know." And that helped a lot. But I haven't had time to do that anymore. I'm to the point now when someone messages me on phone or text saying, "Hey, Colin, I got this person you should call." I'm just like, "Oh my God, when am I going to call this person?" And you got to find time, because I think that's the most important thing. You got to cherish these referrals like better than the original client, because that's not just your name on the line, it's your client's name on the line. So now if the new person isn't liking you, you could possibly lose that new referral and your old client now. So just treat them like gold. And that's all I ever do, is just always keeping up with my clients, sending out quarterly mailers to them, sending out their birthday and anniversary mails, and just trying to keep in touch with them watching me on social media and Facebook. And it's done me pretty well for the last 5 years anyways. It's really been my bread and butter.
Do you go on their posts if they make any and either like it or comment on them?
For the last 3 years, yeah, definitely. I used to be way more engaged. I just is almost becoming too hard to do now, because I've just been so busy. It's been like, okay, now I need to actually make time to post these food posts, or post this new listing post, or whatever. And I don't have time. But yeah, absolutely. I used to go down my list and, at least like most of them and make comments and try to engage. And that's one thing I'm really excited to do when I get an admin on and free up some more time. I'm going to be able to kind of go back to basics. I'll be able to do more interactive stuff on social media. I'm looking forward to maybe I'll try an open house again. Maybe I'll get back to my dinner parties again more often, but definitely looking forward to freeing up more time to kind of go back to basics for lead generation and getting more business.
Yeah. Thanks, Colin. That super insightful, and I resonate. Sunny, do you do anything in terms of lead gen for your past clients? Do you call them on a quarterly basis or mail them? So like nothing. And yet here you are.
I'm good at that. I told you there's a lot of things I got to work on. One of them is follow up. I started
I'm sorry. I'm not convinced you need to work on anything. I think what you're doing is working well.
no, you can always improve. I did start a monthly newsletter last year, but after my assistant left in October, I had no time to do it. I'm finally gonna do it again in July, like a 6-month break. But I think one thing we need to get into a little bit is, how do you get a referral though? There's a lot of agents I've talked to, and I tell them I get a lot of referrals, and they're like, okay, I want referrals too, but it takes a while to get those referrals. Also, it's the type of service you provide your clients. Okay. So a little bit about how we do business is we spend a lot of time with our clients. Um, our philosophy for my team at least is we're advisors, we're not salespeople. Okay. We don't do any sales pitches. We don't push anyone to buy anything. We advise and guide our clients as much as we can, and knowledge is power. We drop as much knowledge as we can. I just posted about this yesterday. I had a client buy after 2 years. 2 years, we saw 100. I calculated it was 125 houses. Total time spent, it was like 40, 50 hours plus. I don't know how many hours we ended up spending together, but not at one point did I ever say to them, guys, you have to buy this house. I think that's where some new agents, especially, feel that they have to push their client to buy. We don't do that. And because we don't do that, our clients will tell their referrals, the referrals they're sending to us, their family and their friends, like, you know what, Sonny and his team, they're never gonna push you to buy something. Now, that same clients that spent 2 years, they sent me 2 clients who bought within a month. So yes, that one client took me 2 years, but he sent me 2 referrals who bought right away. So this comes down to the service you provide, and just make sure you just never push your clients to buy anything. And the other thing we really believe on my team is we're gonna try and not overpay for a property. So what does that mean is we're not gonna pay over market value. So that sometimes does take a bit longer, and we negotiate hard when buying. And when we're selling, we get the top dollar for them. And in return, the clients see how hard we work for them, and they send us referrals.
Yeah, nice. I like that. You know, they do, your clients do remember how you made them feel. Like that's ultimately the currency you're working, or the goal you're working for. You, and you said it earlier too, Sonny, you provide, you focus on, I might get it a little off the right wording, but you focus on giving the best service you can to the client in front of you, essentially.
Yep.
You do that, you focus on that and do good there, then the world is your oyster. They will send business your way. Obviously do smart things, draft a good contract,
Yeah.
but it's how they feel when they're around you. Or can they trust you?
That's it.
Which is a really important thing. John, in your case, with like the large number of business coming by way of past clients referrals, are you calling them on a quarterly basis, monthly basis? Are you mailing them? What are you doing there?
So there's 3 things we do with the database on a kind of yearly basis and monthly basis and everything. But we've never asked someone to send us a referral ever. And to be honest, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And I'm a great believer, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Right. So like there's 3 things we do structurally that we keep in contact with our clients through. And there's also random things we do depending on the client's personality. Right. So the one thing we do is, one is a monthly bomb email, which goes out to the whole database. It's effectively like here's what's going on in the real estate world, or here's what's going on with us. And it's just like, it's a very kind of about 5-minute video. So they get the email, it comes up with like the GIF or GIF or whatever you call it. They click on it and it's a video branded, and it's like me and Forrest, or Forrest and Kylie, or whatever else. There's usually 2 of us. And we break down what's going on. We cover any stuff that's changed, any mortgage rules or anything else like that. And generally just tell people what we're seeing out there in the market, right? So people like that. We get great feedback on that as well, which is really great. And video is obviously more engaging than just a newsletter with words. People now just don't want to read stuff, right? So we utilize BombBomb pretty heavily on that. That's a monthly thing. We do birthday cards for everyone. All 300 people in there get a birthday card. If you're a new client, you go straight in the list and your birthday goes in. We do the Christmas wine drop off every single year. And we usually dress up and do a stupid label for it, like, well, I'm Santa and he's an elf or something. But we do that. So they're the 3 things we do. And then the other stuff is kind of like on the fly. So it's like, yeah, like Colin was saying, a lot of his clients are on Facebook, same with us, right? Or Instagram. So we'll do little things we might comment on stuff, or we might get them around for a barbecue or so. It depends on the client though. And I'm a great believer in all these like sales trainers will always say, you should always call your clients every 90 days and like always ask for referrals and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you have like an engineer type personality you've done a deal with, and they're very logical, and you call them and say, oh, like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? And he's like, I'm great. Why are you calling me? That's weird. And he's going to find that weird, right? You know what I mean? So if they're
Also uncomfortable. Yeah.
yeah, and I'd find it weird. And if it feels like, why am I calling this guy? He's not going to appreciate this. Then don't do it. I mean, do you know what I mean? Just like don't. There's no like one size fits all for everyone. But for the people that are a bit more touchy feely and a bit more like on our wavelength, we'll do little things. Like we have great clients. They've sent us like killer referrals. Like we have one sent us 3 deals this spring. And one was a big listing, and yeah, like we're going to send him to Worcester. We're going to send him to Worcester for a weekend, right? We're going to spend $1,000 because they sent us 40 grand, right? So it's like there's certain clients, and I knew this from day one when I first got licensed. I cold called a listing up here on 123rd and sold it, my first ever listing, from a cold call, and then they sent me 4 deals within 3 months, and I remember thinking, oh my god, like, but it just like I think what Sonny was saying is really important as well, because if a client's expectation is here and you literally go to here, like 3% higher than the expectation, they're going to refer you 100%. You don't need to ask for it.
Yeah. Would you agree, or would you say maybe not? The bar for exceeding the expectation by 3% is not that high.
No, it's honestly like it's for me, who's always been in sales and customer service and everything. It's just the given. But even if it's not the given and your given is just a flat 100, do an extra check-in between subject removal and completion. Be like, hey, I'm just checking in. Is everything okay? Do you have any questions? That could be it. Like, it doesn't have to be a massive thing. It can be a tiny thing, right?
It could be a time thing. It could be showing up on day of possession, not only with a gift, but with a list of the inclusions and perhaps the garage code and the alarm code in hand.
Yeah.
These are little things.
Was it last week? A lady was moving out and she was struggling to get out in time in Poco. A single lady whose condo we sold. So I showed up for an hour and helped her move.
Yeah.
Like, like it's stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, just do it.
Yeah. John, I love it. And Colin, you said it as well, like just a scratch and win is a low bar, but it's uncommon because not very many people do it, Colin. My mortgage broker does it with me. And I'll tell you, a scratch and win, as silly as that thing is, there's only one mortgage broker in my brain. I can't think of anybody else because this person has always done that. And when you do, like if you show up with a truck or help move or send a cleaning person over to clean up something for someone, that cements you as the number one spot in their mind when it comes to the word real estate. It's just, but it's a low bar. It's surprisingly not that much.
And as John was saying too, I think we set the bar ourselves, which gives us a great advantage because, I don't know how this comes across, but I set the bar low. I say, this is the price you're going to get, and we'll be lucky to get higher. And worst case scenario items all the time. Just kind of shows that you've been doing this. You know what can go wrong. This is the contingencies we have for it. You could do it on the buy side and the sell side, and then at the end of the day, when the deal actually goes up pretty smooth, or none of the problems that you laid out happened, you just did your job. You set the bar low and you exceeded it by having none of the problems show up that you say usually happen in a transaction.
Yeah. You exceed it by miles. And again, they now look at you as the person that has everything under control, and they like that. And of course, that's what they're referring. They're referring that right there to their friends. This person has it under control. I mean, that person could be anybody, but it's what you did there.
From the referral standpoint too, I'm with Sonny. I've had a few clients that I've worked with for 1 or 2 years, showed them hundreds of properties and just stuck with them. And I think that goes a long ways with people, just showing them that you're not there just to make a deal. And I think part of my script, whenever I work with a new buyer, as corny as it is or not, I tell them, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but if you buy this house or not, I'm going to be having a steak tonight. So don't worry about me pushing you into a property to pay my mortgage bill or to eat tonight. I just want you in a good place that I would put my own family in, and I'd appreciate a referral afterwards if you like the service that was done. And that usually comes across pretty well because I've had quite a few purchasers actually. I don't know what's up, but recently I'm working with two right now that left other realtors and are working with me now because they've had their realtors tell them, you got to put in an offer of this price, subject free right now to get this place. And I've just been saying, yeah, that's probably how you'll get it. But if you don't want to, I'll still do up the paperwork. Let's give it a shot. Won't you be pissed off if you lose out on this place and it sells for the price you're willing to pay? So I just kind of keep working at it.
Yeah, Colin, when you offer options to a client rather than say, here's one path only and it's the word, you limit
Totally.
their ability, right? And so if you can give them options, even on the listing appointment, sharing the different scenarios that might pop up, it's super helpful. It's informative. And for them, it just reinforces that you know what you're doing. And that is why they would make the decision to hire you.
Sometimes as well, you could seem to be a little bit more of the expert too when you do have a sphere of other realtors you work with, just being in the business for a while, because you can also just say, with my experience, I know the realtors that we can strong arm a little bit. I know this guy doesn't do a whole lot of deals, and we're going to be able to get him to push his client lower than they want because it's the realtor driving the ship on that one. Whereas with me, I just say, hey, you guys are in charge and I'm going to be listening to you. But I know that's not always the case. There's some realtors that like to drive the ship, and we can take advantage of that for our benefit in some situations.
Yeah, perfect. Nicole, you're bang on. Authenticity is amazing, and it's the key. It's the key to business. It's why you guys have such a successful home inspection company. You guys are just extremely real, authentic people. People love you.
Nicole and Benny are the best.
We love you guys.
We love you. I want to circle back to Manveer. Manveer asked a question. So this is for all three of you. We'll start with you, John. Do you post different content on Instagram and Facebook, or is it Facebook, or is it the same?
It's pretty much 90% the same. So like if we just taken on a video content company, which pretty cool, called Coconut Creative. And yeah, so there'll be a lot of like micro videos going out on both. Pretty much if we post to one, we post to the other. But sometimes we share things like in the news, that kind of stuff, like share articles and stuff like that. So obviously that just goes on Facebook primarily. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we do. It's multifaceted. It's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's our. I don't know if anyone knows, but Google Business, like the profile, like if you Google Abode Real Estate Group or whoever the team is, and you have a Google profile, you have your reviews and everything else, but you can actually post stuff there. Below that, you can put videos, just sold, like just listed, cool blog stuff. Like Google is almost like a mini kind of social media profile itself. So you post there, and we have a YouTube channel as well, which we just started up. So pretty much 90% of it goes everywhere, but some things just don't work in certain formats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Sonny?
I try, so I mainly focus on Instagram, and I focus on about three things. Myself and my family. So I showcase I'm a family person. Myself, my wife, and my kids. So I don't post as much about them now, but like I'll throw glimpses of them in there. Sports, I love sports. I will post about that or share stuff about that. And then real estate. My whole thing with social media is I don't like being like other people. Whatever I can do to be different, I will do it. And so for Instagram, your stories have to be engaging, right? You'll see some agents, they'll just keep throwing random things. This sells, this sells, this sells, this sells. I don't like doing that. I like splitting it up and showcasing different things. I'll do polls. I'll go through houses and I'll get an idea what people like. I'll be like, okay, like I posted one the other day. This is interior design. Do you guys like it or not? Right? It's engaging. And from that engagement, I get a lot of people messaging me about, okay, you know what? I'm actually doing a rent on my house. What do you think about this? And that leads to different conversations. So it's like showing your personality, showing yourself on social media so people get to know you better. That's what I focus on.
Yeah, brilliant. I can't help but just think it's screaming. There's a changing of the guard taking place right now. It's probably been for the last 10 years, but I would say that the traditional cold calling realtor is a rare breed now, not a common one. And that the agents that are doing online social media and sharing themselves on a more personal level, sharing some of their interests on social media, that's replaced the telephone. And it seems to be working. I mean, clearly. How about you, Colin? What about you? What kind of stuff do you post?
I love Sunny's idea of making my posts more engaging. I want to get doing that more, but I find just with the way I work and how busy I'm scheduling times to do social media. So it's like, okay, just sit down, be in the office alone, or lay in bed in the morning and make a few posts. So I'm using pictures from the night before or that day. But I think it'd be really cool to use some live, I'm in this house right now and taking pictures and asking questions about stuff. But that's the one thing I am doing, scheduling time to do the social media posts. But what I post is, I don't like seeing just real estate. So I know nobody would follow me if it was just real estate. So I just do what I like: cooking, food, drinking, stuff I'm trying, new restaurants, this and that in the area. And then I like to sprinkle in a few little goodies of real estate, just so people remember, oh my God, this guy's actually a realtor. Oh, wow, look, he's selling a place. Looks like every little while or getting an accepted offer or a sold or a whatever. Every day there's something. I try to do kind of 4 personal posts to every one kind of real estate post. And then, everything's the same. I put the same post pretty much on the Instagram story. I put it on Instagram, and then I put it on Facebook story, and then I put it on Facebook, and then I put it on the Thornton Group Facebook page, and then I even put it all on Snapchat too. It's just so easy to just go on those services and just click the pictures, boom, 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 and then copy and paste, and then get them on all of them. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to do some different stuff on the different platforms. But just for the sake of easiness and time, I start with my Instagram posts, and then I just push them over to all the other services.
Yeah, beautiful. And full disclosure, I hired my ex-wife to do my Instagram and Facebook posts. I don't do a thing there unless it's if you see something about a garden or my kids, that's me 100%. But
full disclosure, she was our client before Josh stole her.
Oh, here we go. Yes, tell your dad to stop sending her calendars. Okay, I own the house too. My gosh. Nicole, I'll show you a plug for Nicole. Like and share our Canada Day post on Instagram. Yeah, I should call it Insta. That would make me more relevant. Go ahead, Nicole, you go ahead and read it out.
I was just going to say, when you're talking about videos and stuff, we get way more likes and way more shares when we do a video than we just do a post. And one of the easiest platforms, and I have friends that do social media and digital marketing all the time, is Canva. It's super, super easy, and it hands everything to you. And you can schedule on Instagram and on Facebook, and then it's done. And I usually typically try to do about 2 weeks at a time, just because you never know how busy you are, what you're doing. And that way I'm not going, oh God, it's midnight and I don't have anything or something. So it's just fantastic. And the reason I mentioned that video is just because we tend to get more likes when you have a video. So for Canada Day, we did a big backpack up and put, Molson Canadian in it. We put chips in it. We put salsa in it. We put all the Canadiana with shirts, t-shirts, horns, whatever. And those are the ones that, whether they're wanting the gift or not, they're liking it because they want to engage. So just my 2 bits.
Beautiful. I would agree. Would you guys agree as well too? Video perhaps gets more likes or more attention than
Totally.
100%. That's why we took on the Coconut Creative, the company, because they do these like 1 minute micro videos. They're all branded and everything, and it's like, the engagement we've got from those has been unreal.
When that post shows up on either Insta or Facebook, does it brand Coconut Creative in there as well too, or is it?
No, so it's you can check it out on our page, but basically it's like it's the videos, it's got like the little bar that kind of goes across to the bottom, so you're only watching a 1 minute video, and it's like,
yeah,
it will have like maybe like a tagline almost at the top, like why we love the Tri-Cities, and it's just like us talking about it or whatever. We did one at Humble Roots, the brunch spot here on 224th, with like Forrest and Kylie with blindfolds on, and they're like eating the breakfast. Oh, sorry, they're like eating the breakfast special and trying to guess what's in it, and it's like it's stupid and it's slapstick and it's like, but then at the end we're like, humble root's amazing, and they shared it, and like it's really cool, man. Like it's new to me. It's not my comfort zone at all. Like I don't actively have like a massive desire to be a social media guy, but I'm very aware of how effective it is. So I'm plugging away at that. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's just easy because it's free, right? As well. Like obviously we're now paying a lot of money for production company and everything. It's like you don't have to do that. There are apps where you can do that branded thing, by the way, on your phone. I don't know what they are, but I've heard they're out there. So there's no excuse, I think, not to have good content now. And it should be primarily video, I think.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm hearing for the most part is do what you love, do it often, do it. I mean, you'll show up authentically. If you love it, you're going to be authentic in what you're doing and how you show up online. So that takes away with having to be anything but who you are. If door knocking and phone calling are not your thing, then really find another way. The beautiful thing that I can recognize today is that there are more options available for us to lead gen than existed 29 years ago. Yeah. There really was a telephone. And if you didn't do it and you didn't get business, you only had, yourself to blame for not picking up the phone. The sphere of influence, as I see it, for all three of you has been, that's what really puts food on the table. And that's showing up because you're showing up as who you are. And I know that all three of you have standards that are so high that, of course, you're magnets for people who want a realtor that has a high standard. So they're going to want to work with you. And no doubt they're going to refer you, which I think is one of it's the amazing secret of this industry. Again, I come back to how, if you want to do well in real estate, the bars for the most part been set somewhat low, I think. And I think that when you show up and have a genuine interest and passion for what you do in your professional and full time, I think that really helps, is that the clients will feel that energy off you. And often they don't care that you don't know everything there is to know about real estate. They just care that you will either find the answers or just take really good care of them. No, they'll reward you. Yeah. So we're at 12:30. Tarun, would you be able to mute yourself, please? Thank you. Or hang up. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's just talk about team dynamics. How did you come to be a team? Was it easy? Was it natural? Do you ever clash, bump heads? Do you ever have a differing of opinions? And so I'm just curious to know what the dynamic for the most part looks like and where you see yourselves going as teammates. We'll start with Sunny. We'll start with you.
I really enjoy working in a team environment. That's when I first became a realtor full-time. I joined a team. Again, that's my background, playing sports. There's only so much you can do by yourself. Being around other people, it motivates you and it drives you. And so I decided to start my team last year. I brought Carnveer on, and again, we're like-minded. You need like-minded individuals. I brought Arsh on as well. Again, same mindset. We're all relationship based. That's what we want to do with our business. And with the team, the nice thing with the team dynamic is you can throw ideas off each other. And yeah, you'll have some times where you'll clash a little bit, but generally it's pretty good.
Okay. And that's just part of a relationship. It's going to happen. There's no, it's inevitable. That's actually how you decide whether you're going to stay together or not.
We have a lot of fun. When people come, we're always joking, we're always laughing, we're always in a good time. Now we made a thing where we go get bubble tea every second day from across the street. It's more fun. It's like, the way I tell people is like, there's only so much you can do as a single individual agent. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But if you saw Last Dance, without Pippen and Rodman and Phil Jackson, he could not have won those championships. You need a strong core. You need a strong team around you. And then sky's the limit.
Yeah, no one succeeds alone. That's not a cliche. That's a fundamental truth in this industry, for sure. Yeah. How about you, John?
Yeah, we definitely clash. Yeah, I guess we're from very different
I
backgrounds.
might have, sorry, John, I have to interrupt. I might have actually designed this question for you. I'm curious to know what the dynamic is like in there. Sorry.
Yeah, so Forrest is from Ucluelet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say it. Like near
Yuki.
Tofino on Vancouver Island, and I'm from like London, England. So we're from very different backgrounds, right? He's very much like the West Coast guy. He's like, yeah, we'll get it. We'll get around to it, man. Like, we'll just do this and we'll work 4-hour days and whatever else, you know what I mean? And I'm very intense at times. And so there's been a lot of clashing over like the work dynamic thing, like over the last few years. But we're also very aligned in the overall goals we have together. We don't really want to have a job where we make the most amount of money and are working a lot. Like all we care about is efficiency, making good money, and being able, like if you just me right now, you've got to work an extra 20 hours of work, each a week for the next year, and you're going to double your production. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't, like, because I value my free time too much, right? But it's like, it's all about becoming more efficient. So we do have those goals where we're very aligned in organization and structure and everything else, because we know we are personalities that are kind of all over the place. But yeah, we clash a lot. But at the end of the day, I think as long as your goals on the team, the overall goals, are congruent with each other, it doesn't really matter what personality you're like, I don't think. Like me and my wife are very different personalities, but we have the same goals in life. And we work for the most part great together. So I think that's the important thing. And I think to have different people on the team is great. Like I'm pretty analytical and I'm pretty numbers based, and he's very much like vibe based. So yeah, he's a good problem solver. I'm a better closer. Like there's different strengths you play, right? And I think you're only stronger if two different people come together. You basically are a superhuman. Because you have all the skills together, you know what I mean? Whereas on your own, you only have half, kind of thing. So I think there's a huge advantage to teams, especially when it comes to like listing appointments and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, 100%. That and time off. I mean, I guess it all depends on what a person's objective is, but no question.
Yeah.
How about you, Colin?
I think we're kind of unique. We're really not a team. We're both individual agents very much. I say we portray ourselves as a team more or less because when I first got started, I had no money. I was a cheapskate and just put all my pictures on his advertising. So, that's when we became the Thornton Group. And when I was a kid as well in real estate, I wanted to leverage my dad's expertise and just say, hey guys, I'm a new agent, but look, I've got 30, 40 years of experience behind me. So don't worry, you're in good hands. But it's always been a separate dynamic, and that's really too bad because we get along well and whatnot, but we really should have been finding a way to work together, him working more with my clients, me more working with his, so that I'm able to successfully take over his business more when he does want to finally retire or slow down. And that's really the hard part, and what we're really trying to figure out now is, holy crap, we've been separate for so long. How do I actually start incorporating his business into mine? Is the issue, and we're just so different in the way we do lead generation and marketing and how we keep up with our clients and even our listings and our buyers. We are very different in that respect, so it'll be interesting. And we haven't leveraged each other for use. Like, sure, if he goes on vacation, I've been able to look after his business while he's been in Mexico for a few times, vice versa. But we're both 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I really wish we would have came together a little bit more so that, he can get 2 days off a week and he looks after my stuff when I get 2 days off a week. But we haven't been doing that. So we're trying to get that all sorted out with an admin, and hiring the admin's been a challenge too, because we haven't chatted about it a whole lot, and we need to get our standards together. So one of us really needed to take the lead on that. So it's great to finally sit with him, talk about salary we're willing to do, what we're going to offer the assistant, because he's going halfers on everything, and just kind of, hey Colin, just do it. So I'm gonna get on board doing that, but I think there really has to be one person who's hiring the assistant too, and keep your standards up.
Yeah. I would agree. It keeps the standards up, and you're right. At some point, you will need to figure out the secret sauce on and meshing yourself in his database so they come to see you as him, or
Totally.
an extension of him. Yeah, because one thought, when I first brought on a buyer's agent, well, actually, I won't go with the first because there's really no point. But Matt Basham was my first buyer's agent. It didn't get any better than Matt when it came to buyer's agents in terms of personality and whatnot. And this just speaks to my immaturity. I remember judging Matt based on how clean his car was. And for those of you that know Matt, it wasn't clean at all. And I was like, dude, you can't be my buyer's agent if you're going to have garbage, McDonald's garbage on the floorboard of your car. Like, that's it. This is going to be over. Anyways, he kept his car clean. It took me about 4 months to realize the guy smokes. I had no idea he smoked cigarettes. I had no idea. I only heard about it because one of my clients said, yeah, I had a smoke with Matt the other day. And I'm like, what? And of course I lost my mind on that one, thinking, oh, you can't do that. I don't smoke. You can't smoke. And so I went through this weird period of demanding that my values were also those of the other person. And that just is not the way it works. But today, I mean, the evolution of, for me on a buyer's, teammate, a member is Aaron. And Aaron is, he's literally the best thing that's happened to the team in that, well, he and Gina both, in that he's learned very fast. He's certainly very talented, and it allows me the time and the freedom to go and decompress from an industry that taxes you to the nth degree. And there's times when you need to take that day off or two off or full week, but not have this going off while you're there. You actually need to unplug from it so that when you come back, the holiday felt like it did what it was supposed to do. And that's for me, it's now about time. It's not about, like you said, John, doubling the money. We'll grow regardless. Like, we're going to grow. It's about quality of life now, meaning and significance.
I love what Trevor Street said to me once, because I came back from Harrison Hot Springs after 2 nights and just said, I'm burnt out, man. I haven't done anything. And he's like, well, when was your last vacation? I said, the other day I came back from Harrison Hot Springs. He's like, well, were you on your phone and doing deals? I says, yeah, I, sent an accepted offer on a place, negotiated place. It says, yeah, well, no kidding then, because if a framer goes and frames a house in Chilliwack just because they're not, locally they're still working, and you're not going to get any reprieve. So that's the key. Get rid of that phone if you can.
Yeah, that's a pain point we all have to go through at some point, but I wish you well on that journey. Yes. We're at 12:37, and we are, we're kind of at that point now where I want to open up to the room, and I know some great questions have come on through, Mender. You've asked some good ones, and there's been some really good comments. So if you have any questions or thoughts, by all means. I would say this, Sonny, Colin, and John, you really didn't know what I was going to ask you today. And I'm curious to know, was there a question that I didn't ask that you thought for sure I was going to ask that you'd love to share with us in that regard? And if not, that's fine too.
Probably not. I think we just kind of, between us, we rambled enough to cover, I think, quite a lot. Yeah.
That was good. Something I would like to touch on is, we've talked about assistants, we've talked about teams, but it's like creating a team and the type of dynamic you have and the structure of a team. Like I said, I worked on a team before, and the team structure was great. I think I would have stayed, but it wasn't. So anybody here who's thinking about starting a team or joining a team, one thing you should look out for is there coaching available from the team lead? I think if you're starting a team, you should be mentoring the agents coming to your team, unless it's someone's experience, that's a little bit different. Also, like the way I've created my team, Sunny Brown and Associates, I chose the name Associates for a certain reason. Is because I want them to feel that they're level with, not way below me. What I've seen in a lot of teams is agents will join teams, but the main team leader agent will get all the glare, it's just that person. I didn't want that for my team. Like I got Karin, I got Arsh, they're working hard, and they should get credit for that as well. And this way, oh, sorry, Roy, mute your mic.
I know.
This way, they won't ever leave your team. There's no need for them to leave, and give them opportunity to grow on the team.
Agreed. Yeah, well said. Give them opportunity to grow on the team, create an environment where they're getting their needs met. I mean, if you think a team member, a realtor, you become a realtor because you want this independent business. You want this ability to grow something special, create a good income, have some degree of control over your time. Although we all know that's to a degree, that's a bit of a myth. But you can get some of your time back through a team. So if you're going to grow a team, it's important to know what the heck it is you want that team there for. What do you want it to do? So Colin, any chance if your dad retires that you'd be going, I need to bring somebody on, not just an assistant, now I need to bring on a buyer's agent or a team member or a partner?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's no way I'd be able to do it. So that's kind of why we are where we are. It's first step right now is we're building it in admin, so it just gives me more time. And I'd probably still not really going to start any lead generation for myself, because the idea is I'm going to slowly start incorporating his clients into my business. And then when he slows quite a bit down, trying to do that lead gen, and now the new leads that come in on my end, hopefully I'll be able to bring a buyer's agent on board with a strong admin to give some value to a buyer's agent that comes on board. And then I could pass off the leads that I'm getting now to the new agent that we have online, and me just kind of taking care of my current base and then my dad's base. And hopefully he'll be out of it eventually so he can actually enjoy life.
Well done, well said, and good on you for having that on your radar. I love what Mike just said here, Colin. He says it's an evolution. Everything in business is just open discussion and workable. Just communicate, be honest, and when communication dies, the team dies. This is true, of course, in all aspects of life, and truer words have never been spoken. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that. I appreciate it. The truth of the matter is, it is a process. You start off as you passed the real estate exam, and now you're a licensed realtor with no clue on what you're going to do for the most part. And then you get into this industry and you just want your first deal. And then you get to a point of 20 or 30 deals. And now you really feel like I need some help, but you've got to learn a new skill to hire and to train and to go down that road. And then eventually you get to a point where you're like, it's just me and an assistant, but now I want time back. And none of this happens overnight. It's an evolution. And so you grow a team, and that's a whole new skill in and of itself. Unfortunately, you've had some experience with the assistant, and you've practiced, and then you grow this team, and you're a little better at communicating and delegating and educating your teammates. To the point where, John, maybe one day it is that way, where you and Forrest have your personal bank of business, but yet you've also got the side business within your team where you're grooming new agents that join into the industry, and you're grooming them on all of the things you did well and mistakes you learned, and giving.
100%. I think when I think back, like I remember when I got licensed, I was just like hungry for knowledge. I was like asking so many agents, so what about this? What do you do with this? What's this spending on this? And like I had so many questions, and I asked like 10, 15 agents in my old Remax office how they did it. And every single one of them gave me a completely different answer, sometimes contradictory to what the last guy, like one guy would be like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You should just do this. That's what you need to do. And the other guy would be like, don't even touch that. Just do this. And I'd be like, well, what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? So it is personal, but it's like, I do think that a lot of people just like when new agents come on, they like to kind of like tell them that their way is the way to do it. But I think what's quite nice about our team is when Kylie joined, we were just like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? And we're very malleable with that because everyone's different, right? And the cool thing about this business is you can literally do it however you want to do it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, John. Final words from you, Sonny.
Oh, final words. If you're thinking about hiring an assistant, just make the jump. Just do it. There's always limiting beliefs. You're not gonna know until you do it. And anybody else here who's thinking about starting a team, just remember one thing. As a team leader, you lead by example. There's a lot of things I got to work on myself to become better. Lead follow-up is one. But the other thing is I do work 7 days a week. I do have a team. I do have an assistant. I'm still working 7 days a week, 40 hours. During the springtime, I was working 80 hours a week, which is not good. But that's where you have to let go. The hardest part is, again, getting an assistant. I think a lot of times the reason why we're hesitant to do that is because we don't want to let go. I had a hard time letting go of a lot of my tasks. Even when you have a team, if someone is thinking, well, I'm going to start a team, I'll start a big team or a small team, it's sending your personal clients to your team member, because you're like, you know what, they might not be able to talk the way I talk, or they might not be able to provide the same service. But if you're creating a culture in your team, everyone is going to be thinking alike.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Nicely said. Thank you, Sonny. Appreciate it. Colin, final words.
Oh, just thank you, Sonny, John, and Josh. It was great. I learned a lot to being on here myself today, which is awesome. New ideas and just things I want to incorporate into my business as well. And just the words of wisdom is don't try to lead generate doing something you hate. Just be grateful, give a lot, because I think when you give, it comes back tenfold. And just do what you love, and that's going to be the easiest way to success.
Well said, brother. Well said. Lucky likes what you said, Sonny. He said, let go of control. Don't micromanage. That is a killer of teams.
So hard to do, but you have to do it.
You really do. Colin, Sonny, John, thank you very, very much for your time. This was, I loved it. It was great for me. So thank you. I appreciate what your contribution to the company and just being so willing to share openly like you have. Wicked awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that came in and hung in here and our guests. Greatly appreciated. This is recorded. Carla is the one that will put it out there. Aman will put it on our YouTube channel. And thank you. All the best. Have a good day. Enjoy the heat, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.